Hello everybody, it's Jen. I'm here with a project for National Coffee Day with Trinity Stamps. So happy coffee day to all you coffee lovers. I'm using this collaboration stamp that was created by Trinity Stamps with the Coffee Loving Cardmakers group. And this stamp set is called the Frappy Camper Perking Spot, and it is absolutely adorable. I'm going to go ahead here and mask out a lot of the images in the stamp set. It has this cute little camper, and it's like a little coffee heaven to go, which I think is fabulous. I love how unique this stamp set is. It was super fun to create this card. I went ahead and stamped out all of my images that I'm going to be using on some Simon Says Stamp masking paper. And you can see here that I've been using the masks as a guide for where I want to stamp my images. So I made sure to cut the masks on the black line of the images. And that's really important when you're creating a scene card using masks. So you could see there I had the camper on my cardstock. This is a Spectrum Noir Premium cardstock, which is good for copic coloring because that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I am first starting off with the images that I want in the front. You can see here I ended up having to cut out the window for the little camper so I could figure out where I wanted our little worker here that is providing the coffee, and to put in that little coffee machine and then the to-go cups. So that was the first thing that I wanted to stamp because I wanted that to be in front of the little camper itself. So then I went ahead and added the camper back on so I could stamp the sign that's going to go in front of the camper as well. Once I get that in place, I'm going to go ahead and start creating the other elements that I want on the scene. So I went ahead and stamped the awning as well for the camper. I love how you can customize this little camper and do whatever you want with it. There's lots of fun accessories to play with. It's just so adorable, perfect for the coffee lover. So I'm going to go ahead and get the little characters here stamped on to my card, and I do want to have the girl holding the to-go mug, but I am going to do that after I stamp both of these little cuties. Now you could stamp the to-go cup first if you wanted her hand to be behind it, but I decided to have her hand sort of in front. I don't know if that would be really how it would look in life, but it's a card, so you can stamp it however you want. So once I get that done, I can go ahead and stamp finally the camper itself. So I'm going to go ahead and mask that window again, just to make sure I don't get any ink where I don't want it to be. And then I can go ahead and place my little camper stamp down. So sometimes the masking can take quite a bit of patience, but I think it really pays off in the end, especially if you want to do a one-layer scene card. I am going to be doing a Distress Oxide background, so it's super fun to create a one-layer card, and I find it actually kind of relaxing to do masking and stamping. I know it can be frustrating at times, especially if you forget to put a mask on and stamp without a mask, or you get a little mixed up with what you want to be in the front and to stamp first. But I encourage you to try it. We all make mistakes, so just have fun with it. Try to let yourself go and just enjoy the experience of creating a one-layer scene. So now that I have my little camper, I am going to add the menu. This is so cute. I'm just going to add that to the camper there, and then I'm going to go ahead and remask all those areas where I've taken the masks off so that I can do my background. So I just cut a piece of masking paper here so I can create the grass and the sky. I'm doing some ink blending with regular Distress inks. These are the mini ink cubes. I was away visiting my parents while I created this card, so you may notice a difference in the lighting as well. I didn't have my studio lights with me, trying to use sunlight and one bright light that I brought with me, but definitely not the same as creating in your craft room with all your regular supplies. I am using the Trinity Blending Buddy brush here. Love how easy it blends with the inks. I've used them both with the Distress inks and the Distress oxides, and they work great. I'm not doing a full blended background. This is just kind of an easy way to create an illusion of a background. I am leaving lots of white space, which is kind of one of my favorite things to do with clean and simple cards. So now we're getting to the magic with the reveal of the images. You just want to make sure when you're pulling up these masks, you are careful because it does take a little while for the Distress inks to dry. So I'm just using my reverse tweezers here to help me pull some of the masks up. Once I get a little corner up, I can go ahead and use my fingers. And here you can really see the scene come to life. Now this little coffee machine, I didn't quite get all the way to the shelf or where I wanted it to be sitting. So I am going to fix that in a second here once I touch up this one spot where the Distress ink didn't get into the little piece of grass here. So I'm just using a Ranger paintbrush for that. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint that color in so you'll never know. I'm going to blend that out a little bit more with the brush. And then in a minute, I'm going to add a little area to make it look like there's another piece of the coffee machine so that it looks like it is sitting on the shelf and not floating in midair. First of all, though, I am going to start with the coloring. So as always, I'm leaving the caps out to the left-hand side of the screen there so you can follow along with the colors that I'm using. I wanted to do some simple skin coloring, so I kept the skin colors fairly similarly for the women here in our little scene, and then I'm going to color the little guy up a little bit darker of a skin tone just to have some variation because as we all know, we all are very different and I like to celebrate diversity. I don't do it enough, but when I have the opportunity, I do like to make sure that I'm incorporating various skin colors in my cards. So I wasn't really sure when I first started out with this card what color I wanted to do the camper. So I went for something kind of out of the box maybe, I don't know. Not something I would traditionally pick, but I went with purple. So I'm using V17 as my darkest, V15 as my darkest midtone, then V12 as my lightest midtone, and the V000 as my lightest color. And you saw there, I just used the lightest as always to kind of mark where I wanted those darkest shadows, and then brought in the V17 to do that. And then now I believe I'm using the V15 here just to pull that color out a little bit more. And I really like how this turned out. The design team has some great projects with this stamp set, coloring the camper in various colors. So I do encourage you to check out the Trinity Stamps Facebook group and the Instagram account to see all of the amazing projects by the design team. So once I get this colored up, I believe I go over a second time just to try to darken that up a little bit. I felt like that V000 was just a bit too light. But that, as I have said before, is the beautiful thing about Copics is they are translucent or transparent. So you can go ahead and build up color by going over it multiple times. You just want to make sure that you're careful not to oversaturate the paper so that your colors bleed. But you can kind of get away with that if you don't continually go to the edges of your lines as well. That does help in keeping the color where you want it to be and not bleeding outside the lines. So you can see here with this second pass, I am darkening it up just a little bit. I wanted to keep the colors kind of similar throughout the card. I tend to do this a lot with my card making. So I am just going to add the purple to the little coffee sleeve on the to-go mug. And then I'm going to do a lighter version for the inside of the camper, just using the V12 and the V000. Here's where I'm adding that little piece to the coffee machine. So you can see here that even when you make mistakes, there are ways to fix it. And I feel like if you didn't know that I had to draw that in, you wouldn't know. So that was a super easy fix. Just going ahead and darkening up that background, giving it a little bit more shading around the images itself. And then I'm also going to use those two colors for the front of our little sign here. And again, that just helps with not having to add in any additional colors. Not that there's anything wrong with adding additional colors. I think it's just something that I've realized in my card making that I prefer to just have colors appearing throughout the card if possible. So here's where I'm bringing in lots of cool gray colors. I used the darkest colors for the tires and the areas that I wanted to look black. So for the coffee machine, or like a stainless steel color. And then for the awning here on top of the camper, I'm going to do it striped where it is white and black. I thought that would be fun just to have neutral colors with the purple of the camper. So again, just darkening up that area where I want the pieces of the awning to be the darkest. Decided to bring some of that darker gray color around the menu and on the various pieces of the camper. So where the hitch is, and then I'm just going to add that as well around the window pane. Or I guess it wouldn't be a window pane because it's not an actual window, but where the border is for the window. And here's where I'm going to go ahead and use some of those cool gray colors to make the coffee machine look like it is stainless steel. I'm going to use the lighter of the cool gray markers here to do the hair and the little sign, as well as the other pieces of the awning. I wanted our little coffee person here to kind of have a grayish white hair. And then again, just adding some of that to make the little striped panel here on the camper look white. Balancing out, like I said, the brighter colors, the blue and the purple and the green, with some neutrals here with the gray tones. Once I get that done, I will move on to the two little characters. I almost said critters. The two characters, and again, I just sort of left them near the end because I wasn't really sure what color I wanted to use for their clothing. In the end, I decided to give our little guy here a white t-shirt, and I'm going to color the to-go mug in white as well. While I had those markers out, I decided to do the little sign as well. Sometimes it's kind of hard when you get far in a card to know what colors will look best. So I was playing it pretty safe with this one and doing a lot of white, gray, and black. Colored their shoes black. And then I decided to give him some jeans. This will play on the blue for the sky. So I'm using one of my favorite combinations for jeans, which is B97, B95, and B91. I did go in and decide to color what I think is her ears as earrings with blue. Don't know that I love that, but it is what it is. And yeah, so then I decided to bring in a random pink color for her dress. I was out of ideas for colors. So I'm using RV 19, I think. It's hard to see sometimes when you're doing the voiceovers. RV09 and then RV25, and decided to bring that pink in onto the little coffee machine as well, and then the lights on the trailer. Again, just so that color appeared more than once. I'm going to make her like a dirty honey brown blonde color. I don't even know if that's such a color, but I guess a dirty blonde, light brown colored. And then I'm going to make him a little bit darker brown for his hair. And I feel like these two balance each other out really nicely. So almost done the coloring here. Once I finish the coloring, I'll move on to stamping the sentiment. So for the sentiment, I'm going to split up a couple of these stamps. First though, I wanted to stamp this Express Go, which is such a cute play on words, onto the little camper itself, almost like that's the name of the coffee shop. And then I'm using the stamp set here that says rolling by to say, and in the stamp set it says hi, but I masked that off and then used another sentiment in the stamp set that says thanks a latte. I always find I need thank you cards, so wanted to make this into a thank you card. To finish off, I'm just going to use my Nouveau glaze here. This is like a glossy accents, and it just gives a nice shine and raised element to your cards. So I'm going to add that to quite a few elements on the card, the awning, and then the little button on the coffee pot, and also the coffee sleeve. I also added it to the little lights on the camper as well. So to finish off the details for this card, just using a black glaze pen and a white gel pen here, just to add some highlights and to bring out their eyes a little bit with the black. And that will be it for today. So I hope you've enjoyed this one layer card and seeing how you can use your masks to help guide you when you're stamping using masks. Thanks for joining me. You know how much I appreciate you all. I hope you have a fantastic National Coffee Day. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I've never even had a sip of coffee, and I know that will make some of you gasp, but it is true. But I love making coffee cards. I hope you liked this one, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Have a fabulous day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.